I walked into my own house and felt like a stranger. The decorations were everywhere, balloons tied to every chair. A banner stretched across the living room that read, "Happy 60th, Martha," in glittering letters that caught the afternoon light. The dining table was covered with food I didn't recognize, arranged in patterns too perfect to touch. My wife's friends clustered near the kitchen, their voices rising and falling in waves I couldn't quite hear. My son stood by the window with his wife, both of them dressed like they were attending a corporate gala instead of a birthday party in suburban Ohio. I should have felt welcome. This was my house, my wife's party. But something was wrong. I couldn't name it yet, but it sat in my chest like a weight. The conversations didn't just pause when I walked in. They stopped. Completely. Eyes turned toward me, held for a fraction too long, then flicked away. Smiles appeared and disappeared like camera flashes. My son raised his glass in my direction without meeting my eyes. His wife touched his arm and whispered something that made him nod. "There he is," my wife said from across the room. Her voice was warm, but there was something underneath it. Something careful. I forced a smile. "Here I am." She crossed the room and kissed my cheek. Her perfume was the same one she'd worn for 30 years, but today it smelled different. Sharper. Or maybe that was just me. "Everything looks great," I said. "Doesn't it?" She turned to survey the room like a general inspecting troops. "Everyone worked so hard." I noticed she didn't say I worked so hard. She said everyone. "Where do you want me?" I asked. She gestured vaguely toward the corner near the fireplace. "Just mingle. Enjoy yourself." Mingle. In my own house. With my own family. I moved through the room like furniture they'd forgotten to dust. That's how I thought of it later. Background furniture. The kind you don't notice until someone points out it doesn't match anymore. I tried to join a conversation near the bookshelf, but the circle of relatives closed slightly, turning their backs without seeming to notice. I picked up a plate of food I didn't want and stood by the window, watching my son and daughter-in-law through the glass reflection. They were arguing, quietly, but arguing. His jaw was tight. She kept glancing at her phone. When she looked up, she scanned the room like she was counting people. My grandson appeared beside me without warning. "Hey, Grandpa." I turned. David was 16, tall and skinny, with his mother's dark hair and his father's sharp features. But unlike his father, he looked at me when he spoke. Really looked. "Hey, kid, you having fun?" He didn't answer. He glanced over his shoulder, then stepped closer. Too close. Close enough that I could smell the mint gum he was chewing. "Grandpa," he said quietly. "We're leaving. Act like nothing's wrong." I stared at him. "What?" "Just act normal. Don't react. Don't look at anyone." My heart kicked once, hard. "David, what the hell are you talking about?" He pulled his phone from his pocket, shielded it with his body, and turned the screen toward me. I looked down. It was a group chat. Family names I recognized. My son, my daughter-in-law, my brother, my wife's sister, a cousin I hadn't spoken to in 5 years. The messages were time-stamped from the past week. "Son, tonight. Everything's set. Just stick to the story." Daughter-in-law. "I already talked to Linda and Greg. They're on board." Brother. "What if he gets suspicious?" Son. "He won't. He never does." Cousin. "This is perfect. He won't know what hit him." Daughter-in-law. "Make sure everyone warms up the stories. We need consistency." Son. "Already done. Linda's got the one about the bank. Greg's got the one about the car." Daughter-in-law. "And the hospital thing?" Son. "Covered. Mom knows. I read it twice, 3 times. The words didn't change." "Keep scrolling," David whispered. I scrolled. Son. "Once the cops get here, it's over. He'll be so embarrassed he won't fight it." Daughter-in-law. "Good. This ends tonight." Brother. "What about Martha?" Son. "She's fine with it. She's been fine with it from the start." The room tilted, not physically, but everything tilted anyway. The conversations around me turned into noise. The faces blurred. My wife's laughter from across the room sounded like it was coming from underwater. "Grandpa!" David's voice pulled me back. 10 minutes. Just pretend everything's fine for 10 minutes. Then we leave. Leave? I looked at him. Leave where? Anywhere. I'll explain in the car, but we have to go before they start. Before they start what? He looked at me with an expression too old for his face. Before they destroy you. I opened my mouth to argue, to say this was insane, to demand an explanation that made sense. But before I could speak, someone pounded on the front door. 3 heavy knocks. Official knocks. The room went silent. My son moved first. He crossed to the door with quick, purposeful steps, his face already arranged into concern. He opened it. 2 police officers stood on the porch. "Good afternoon," the older one said. "We received a call about a disturbance at this address." My son stepped back, gesturing them inside. "Officers, thank you for coming. We weren't sure if we should call, but things have been difficult." The younger officer's hand rested on his belt. His eyes swept the room, cataloging faces. When they landed on me, they stopped. "Is there a problem here?" the older officer asked. People were staring. My wife's friends, my relatives. Everyone had gone still, watching, waiting. My daughter-in-law stepped forward. Her voice was soft, worried, perfect. "We're just concerned. He's been acting so strangely lately." "Strangely how?" the older officer asked. "Forgetful, confused, aggressive sometimes." She glanced at my wife. "Martha's been trying to manage it, but tonight?" "Tonight what?" I said. Every head turned toward me. The officers shifted their weight. My son's face remained carefully neutral, but I saw something flicker in his eyes. Satisfaction. "Sir," the older officer said, "have you been feeling all right?" "I feel fine." "Has anything unusual happened recently?" I looked at my son, at my daughter-in-law, at my brother standing near the couch, his arms crossed, at my wife, who watched everything with calm, unreadable eyes. "Define unusual," I said. The officer frowned. "Sir, we need you to cooperate." "I am cooperating. I'm asking you what the hell is going on." My son moved closer. "Dad, please, you're making this worse." "Worse than what?" "Worse than it already is." The younger officer stepped forward. "Sir, we're going to need you to calm down." "I am calm." "Your voice is raised." "Because police are in my house and no one will tell me why." David moved beside me. His presence was solid, real. He looked at the officers and said in a voice clearer than mine, "Check the timestamps." The older officer turned to him. "Excuse me?" "The call. Check when it was made. Check who made it." David pulled out his phone again. "Check the group chat where they planned this." The room erupted. My daughter-in-law started talking, her voice rising. My son tried to grab David's phone. The older officer raised his hand for silence. My wife's friends began whispering, their voices layering into a single incomprehensible hum. "Everyone stop," the older officer said. They didn't stop. My brother was arguing with someone near the couch. My wife's sister was on her phone. The younger officer moved between me and my son, his hand still on his belt. I said stop. The room finally quieted. The officer looked at David. "What group chat?" David held up his phone. "The one where they planned to call you, where they made up stories about my grandfather being unstable, where they coordinated what to say." He turned the screen toward the officer. "It's all here." The officer took the phone. He scrolled. His expression didn't change, but something in his posture did. He looked at my son. "Is this your number?" My son's face went pale. "I can explain." "Is this your number?" "Yes, but you don't understand the context." The officer handed the phone back to David. He looked at me. "Sir, do you feel you're in danger?" No. Do you feel threatened? By my family? I laughed. It came out wrong, too sharp. That depends on what you mean by threatened. The older officer turned to my son. We're going to need to speak with you outside. This is a misunderstanding, my son said quickly. We were trying to help him. He's been having problems and we thought, outside, now. My son looked at my daughter-in-law. She looked at the floor. He looked at my wife. She didn't look back. The officers walked my son toward the door. Guests pressed themselves against the walls to make room. David stayed beside me, his shoulder touching mine. As my son passed, he stopped. He looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not anger, not even embarrassment. Fear. Dad, he said quietly. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? He didn't answer. The officers guided him outside, and the door closed behind them. The room stayed silent for 3 seconds. Then, everyone started talking at once. As the story unfolds, hit the hype button, like, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive them or walk away? I stood in the center of my living room while my family fell apart around me. My wife's friends were gathering their purses. My brother was on his phone, speaking too loudly about misunderstandings and overreactions. My daughter-in-law had disappeared somewhere, probably crying in a bathroom while she planned her next move. And my wife stood by the window, watching the officers talk to our son on the front lawn. She hadn't moved, hadn't spoken, just watched. Grandpa. David touched my arm. We should go. Go where? Anywhere but here. I looked around the room. The decorations suddenly seemed pathetic. The balloons sagged. The banner hung crooked. The food on the table was going cold, untouched. This is my house, I said. I know. This is my wife's birthday party. I know that too. I can't just leave. David squeezed my arm. Yes, you can. You should. But I didn't move. I was 62 years old, and for the first time in my life, I didn't know what to do. I'd raised a son who just tried to have me arrested. I'd built a family that spent weeks planning my public humiliation. I'd been married for 40 years to a woman who, according to those messages, had been fine with it from the start. My wife finally turned from the window. She looked at me across the room and I searched her face for something. Guilt, shame, regret, anything. I found nothing. Martha, I said. She walked toward me, slowly. Her heels clicked on the hardwood floor. When she reached me, she stopped close enough that I could count the fine lines around her eyes. We should talk, she said quietly. You think? Not here. Not now. Later. Why not now? Everyone already knows. They've all been part of it. She glanced around the room. Several people were still watching us, pretending they weren't. She lowered her voice even more. Because you don't understand what's happening. Then explain it. I can't. Not yet. Why not? Because you'll react, and you need to not react right now. I stared at her. This woman I'd loved for 4 decades. This woman who apparently had known our son was planning to destroy me and had done nothing to stop it. Did you know? I asked. Know what? Don't play that game with me, Martha. Did you know what he was planning? She held my eyes. Yes. The word hit me like a fist. I'd expected denial, arguments, explanations, not simple, cold confirmation. And you let it happen. No, I didn't let it happen. I waited. Waited for what? For proof. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I've been watching them for 3 months, collecting evidence, documenting everything. She pressed the paper into my hand. I needed to be sure. I unfolded it. It was a printout of more messages, different group chat, same names, plus a few I didn't recognize. Son, the timing has to be perfect. If we do this too early, he'll have time to recover. Unknown number. What about the financial stuff? Son. Already handled. Once we establish he's incompetent, the power of attorney transfers. Daughter-in-law. And the house? Son. The house is easy. Mom's name is on everything. Unknown number. She's really okay with this? Son. I told you, she's on board. She's been planning it longer than we have. I read it twice. My hands started shaking. This says you've been planning it, I said. That's what he told them. Is it true? Martha took the paper back and refolded it. I've been planning something, just not what he thinks. Before I could respond, the front door opened. The older officer stepped inside, followed by my son. My son's face was tight, his jaw clenched. He looked at me, then at Martha, then at the floor. The officer cleared his throat. We're not pressing any charges at this time, but we are filing a report. If there are further disturbances, we'll need to investigate more thoroughly. He looked at me. Do you understand, sir? I understand that my son called you here under false pretenses. That's not entirely clear. There appear to be conflicting accounts. There's a group chat that proves it was planned. I saw the messages, but planning to call police isn't illegal if there's legitimate concern. The officer's voice softened slightly. Sir, I recommend you and your family work this out privately, maybe with professional help. Professional help, I repeated. A mediator, a counselor, someone neutral. I almost laughed. Almost. But David was still beside me, and Martha was still watching with those unreadable eyes, and my son was still standing in my house like he belonged there more than I did. Fine, I said. We'll work it out. The officers left. The door closed behind them. The room full of guests and relatives and friends suddenly felt impossibly small. My son took a breath and stepped forward. Dad, I think we need to… Don't. My voice came out flat and cold. Don't say anything. But… I said don't. He stopped. His hands opened and closed at his sides. For just a second, he looked like the boy who'd broken my favorite fishing rod when he was 10 and tried to hide it. Guilty, scared, desperate for forgiveness. Then his face hardened. You're overreacting. Am I? We were trying to help you. By calling the police? By telling them I'm unstable? You have been unstable. You forget things. You get confused. Name one thing I've forgotten. Last month you lost your car keys. I put them in my coat pocket instead of the hook. That's not forgetting. That's putting them somewhere different. You called Linda by the wrong name at Thanksgiving. I called her Laura, her sister's name. That's called mixing up names. Everyone does it. My daughter-in-law appeared from the hallway. Her eyes were red, but her makeup was perfect. She'd reapplied it. That's what she'd been doing while her world collapsed. Fixing her face. You're being cruel, she said to me. Cruel? We've been worried about you for months. We were trying to protect you. Protect me from what? From yourself. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She'd joined this family 8 years ago at a wedding I'd paid for. I'd welcomed her with open arms, given her space to find her place, never questioned her motives. And this was how she saw me, as someone who needed protection from himself. Get out, I said quietly. Her eyes widened. Excuse me? Get out of my house. You can't. I can. This is my house. Get out. My son moved between us. Dad, stop this. You too, both of you, leave. This is ridiculous, my daughter-in-law said. Martha, say something. Everyone looked at my wife. She'd been watching the whole scene in silence, her expression still carefully blank. Now she straightened her shoulders and met her daughter-in-law's eyes. He asked you to leave, Martha said. So leave. My daughter-in-law's mouth opened, closed, opened again. But… leave. The room went silent again. My son stared at his mother like she'd slapped him. Martha stared back without blinking. Finally, my son grabbed his wife's hand. Fine, we're going. They walked to the door. My daughter-in-law grabbed her coat from the rack. My son paused with his hand on the doorknob. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," I replied. "It is." They left. The door closed. Half the guests left with them, murmuring apologies and excuses. Within 10 minutes, the house was nearly empty. Just me, Martha, David, and a handful of Martha's closest friends who didn't seem to know whether to stay or go. Martha made the decision for them. "Thank you all for coming. I think we need some family time now." They left. Quickly. Gratefully. Then it was just the three of us. David sat on the couch. I stayed standing. Martha walked to the kitchen and came back with a glass of water she didn't drink. "Now," she said, "we talk." The video went viral. Not nationally viral, but locally, regionally, it spread like wildfire. By Friday morning, clips from Thursday's community center event had been viewed over 200,000 times. The moment my son stormed the stage, the confrontation with David, his dramatic exit, all of it captured from a dozen different angles by people with their phones out. Frank called at 7 a.m. "Have you seen the comments?" "No, I've been avoiding them." "Don't. They're overwhelmingly in your favor. People are calling your son entitled, manipulative, abusive. Some are demanding a criminal investigation. This is bigger than I expected." That doesn't feel like a win. It is, though. Public opinion is a weapon. Right now it's pointing at him. I hung up and made coffee. Martha was already awake, scrolling through her laptop with an expression I couldn't quite read. "3 journalists want interviews," she said. "2 lawyers have offered to represent you pro bono if your son sues, and the district attorney's office left a voicemail asking you to call them back." "The DA? Financial elder abuse is a felony. If they decide to investigate, this becomes a criminal matter." I sat down heavily. I didn't want it to go this far. Neither did I, but here we are. David came downstairs. He looked like he hadn't slept. "My phone's been blowing up all night. Kids from school, teachers, people I don't even know. Everyone has an opinion." "What are they saying?" "Most are supportive. Some think it's cool that I stood up to my dad. Some think I'm a traitor." He poured cereal he didn't eat. "A few people sent me screenshots of what Dad's posting." "What's he posting?" David showed me his phone. My son had written a long Facebook post, time-stamped at 2 a.m. I'm being publicly crucified for trying to help my father. The narrative he's pushing is false. The evidence is taken out of context. The group chat messages were private conversations being misinterpreted. I never stole anything. I never tried to hurt him. I only tried to protect him from himself. But now I'm the villain. My reputation is destroyed. My family is broken. All because I cared too much. The post had over 300 comments. Most were skeptical. People were linking Frank's blog post, sharing screenshots of the bank transfers, referencing the community center video. A few people defended him, but they were outnumbered. "He's still trying to spin it," I said. "It's not working," Martha replied. "The evidence is too strong. People see through it." The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, 2 men in suits stood on the porch. "Thomas Brennan?" "Yes?" "I'm Detective Morris. This is Detective Hayes. We're with the Financial Crimes Unit. We'd like to ask you some questions." They weren't asking. They were informing. I let them in. Martha made coffee no one drank. The detectives sat on the couch, notebooks out, expressions professionally neutral. "We've been following the situation," Detective Morris said. "The district attorney's office flagged it for potential investigation. Financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult is a serious crime." "I'm not vulnerable." "You're over 60. That's the legal definition in cases of elder abuse." "I'm not being abused. I was, past tense, and I stopped it." "By going public?" "Yes." Morris exchanged a glance with Hayes. "Walk us through everything. From the beginning. Leave nothing out." I did. It took 2 hours. They asked questions, took notes, requested copies of documents. Martha provided the folder she'd been compiling. Bank statements, text messages, email printouts, the group chat screenshots, everything. When we finished, Morris closed his notebook. "This is enough for us to open an investigation. We'll need to interview your son, his wife, and several other family members. We'll also need to subpoena bank records and digital communications. What happens to him if you find he committed a crime? Depends on what we find and what charges the DA files. Elder financial abuse can carry prison time, usually 1 to 4 years, plus restitution." Prison. The word hung in the air. That's a possibility, not a certainty, but a possibility. After they left, I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. Martha sat beside me. "You didn't ask for this," she said. "No, but I caused it." "He caused it. You just exposed it. Is there a difference?" "Yes, a big one." I wasn't sure I agreed, but I didn't have the energy to argue. The weekend passed in a blur. More phone calls, more messages, more interview requests we declined. Frank posted an update on his blog. Patricia sent a thank you note for speaking at the event. David's mother called 3 more times. We didn't answer. On Sunday, my brother showed up unannounced. "I need to see the evidence," he said when I opened the door. "All of it." "Why now?" "Because I need to know the truth." I let him in. Martha brought out the folder. Tom spent an hour reading through everything. His face got progressively grimmer as he went. Finally, he set the papers down. "Jesus Christ. Yeah. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know he'd gone this far." "But you knew something." "I knew he was worried about you. I knew he was documenting things. I thought—" He trailed off. "I thought he was being paranoid, overprotective. I didn't realize he was planning this." "You were in the group chat." "I was in a group chat. Not the one with the worst stuff. He must have had multiple chats. Different people, different information." Tom rubbed his face. "I'm sorry. I should have asked more questions. I should have pushed back." "Yes, you should have." "Are you going to forgive me?" I thought about it. "Eventually, maybe. I don't know." "That's fair." He left. I watched his car pull away and wondered how many other relationships had been damaged beyond repair. My brother, my son, my daughter-in-law, cousins and aunts and uncles who'd taken sides or stayed silent. The whole family tree had been poisoned. Monday morning, the DA's office called. They were moving forward with charges: 3 counts of elder financial abuse, 1 count of theft, 1 count of attempted fraud. My son had until Friday to turn himself in for arraignment. "What if he doesn't?" I asked. "Then we issue a warrant and bring him in. But he'll turn himself in. His lawyer will make sure of it." I hung up and told Martha. "It's really happening," she said quietly. "Yes." "Are you okay with that?" "I don't know what I am." David came home from school looking shell-shocked. Everyone knows. Teachers, students, everyone. They're all talking about it, about Dad, about the charges, about me. What are they saying? That I helped put my own father in jail. That I'm a traitor. That I destroyed my family. His voice cracked. Maybe they're right. No. Martha knelt in front of him. "You told the truth. You did the right thing. Sometimes the right thing has terrible consequences, but that doesn't make it wrong. It feels wrong. I know." He went upstairs. Martha and I sat in silence. "He's 16, she said. "He shouldn't have to carry this. None of us should." "But we are." "Yes, we are." Tuesday, my son's lawyer called. He wanted to negotiate. If we agreed to drop the charges, his client would agree to return all money taken, relinquish any future claims to inheritance, and stay away from us permanently. "What do you think?" I asked Martha. "I think he wants to avoid prison. That's what I think." Should we take the deal? She was quiet for a long time. That's your decision. He's your son. I called the lawyer back. No deal. Mr. Brennan, my client is willing to make full restitution. Your client stole from me, lied to my family, tried to have me declared incompetent, brought police to my home, spent months destroying my reputation. I kept my voice calm. Money doesn't fix that. A promise to stay away doesn't fix that. He needs to face consequences. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. I hung up. Martha looked at me. No regrets? Plenty of regrets, but no second guessing. Wednesday, my son posted another Facebook message. This one was different, shorter, more desperate. Dad, please, we can work this out privately. Don't let this destroy both of us. I'm begging you, please. I didn't respond. Neither did Martha or David. Thursday evening, the lawyer called again. My client will turn himself in tomorrow at 9 a.m. The arraignment is scheduled for 11. I assume you'll be there? Yes. He'd like to speak with you beforehand. Just 5 minutes, face to face. No. Mr. Brennan. No. If he wants to talk, he can talk in court. Friday morning arrived cold and overcast. We drove to the courthouse in silence. Frank met us outside with his camera. A few local reporters were there too, filming the entrance. Inside, the courthouse was busy. People moving through hallways, lawyers conferring with clients, a low hum of conversation. We found seats in the gallery. At 11, they brought my son in. He was wearing a suit. His face was pale, composed. His lawyer whispered something to him. He nodded but didn't look at us. The judge read the charges. My son entered a plea of not guilty. Bail was set at $50,000. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. The whole thing took 15 minutes. Afterward, we left through the side exit to avoid reporters. My son was still inside, probably posting bail. I didn't wait to see. In the car, David asked, "What happens now?" "Now we wait," Martha said. "The legal process takes time." "How much time?" "Months, maybe longer." "And then what?" "Then a trial. If it gets that far, he might take a plea deal." "Will he go to prison?" "Maybe. Probably. I don't know." We drove home. The house felt like it always did now. Empty. Quiet. Wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I went downstairs and stood by the window, looking at nothing. Martha found me there around 2 a.m. "You okay?" "No." "Me neither." We stood together in the dark, not touching, not speaking, just existing in the wreckage of our family. "Do you think we did the right thing?" I asked finally. "Yes." "Even knowing what it cost?" "Yes." "I'm not sure I believe that." "You don't have to believe it. You just have to live with it." She turned to face me. "He made his choices. We made ours. Now we live with the consequences." "That feels too simple." "It is simple. It's just not easy." She went back to bed. I stayed by the window until sunrise. The preliminary hearing was 3 weeks away, but the damage was immediate and ongoing. My son lost his job. The company released a statement about not tolerating criminal behavior by employees. It was carefully worded, legally safe, and utterly devastating. He'd worked there for 12 years, built relationships, earned promotions, all of it gone. His wife filed for separation, not divorce, not yet, but separation. She moved out of their house and into an apartment across town. David heard about it through friends. She didn't call to tell him directly. The story continued spreading. Local news, regional news. A few national outlets picked it up as part of a larger piece on elder abuse. My son became a case study, an example, a cautionary tale. Frank's blog post had been shared over 100,000 times now. People were using it in college ethics classes, support groups for abuse survivors, legal seminars about exploitation. It had taken on a life of its own, and through it all, my son stayed silent. No more Facebook posts. No more attempts to spin the narrative. No more phone calls or messages. Just silence. "He's hunkered down," Frank said when he stopped by one afternoon. His lawyer probably told him to stop talking. Smart move, legally, but it makes him look guilty to everyone else. Is he guilty? According to the evidence, absolutely. But that's for a jury to decide. What if they decide he's not? Frank shrugged. Then he walks, and you'll have destroyed your relationship with him for nothing. That's not comforting. It's not supposed to be. It's just reality. The days blurred together. Work calls I had to take, bills I had to pay, life continuing despite everything. Martha threw herself into her garden, spending hours outside digging and planting and pruning. David went to school and came home and did homework in silence. We moved through the house like ghosts. 2 weeks before the hearing, my son's lawyer called again. My client wants to make a statement, publicly. He wants to apologize. For what? For everything. He wants to take responsibility, express remorse, and ask for forgiveness. Is this a legal strategy? It's a human strategy. He realizes what he's done. He wants to make it right. By apologizing? After everything? It's a start. I almost laughed. Tell him no. Mr. Brennan. Tell him if he wants to apologize, he can do it in court, under oath, where lying has consequences. I hung up. Martha had been listening. That was harsh. Was it wrong? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. He doesn't get to apologize his way out of this. He doesn't get to perform remorse and expect forgiveness. What does he get? Justice. Whatever that means. That Saturday, David's mother showed up. It was the first time we'd seen her since the community center event. She looked thinner, tired, like she'd aged years in weeks. "I need to talk to David," she said at the door. "He's upstairs." "Can I come in?" I hesitated. Martha appeared behind me and made the decision. "Come in." We sat in the living room. Uncomfortable. Tense. She clutched her purse like a shield. "How is he?" she asked. "Struggling," Martha said. "This has been hard on him. It's been hard on all of us. Some more than others." The barb landed. She flinched. "I didn't know what Michael was planning. Not all of it. I thought he was just documenting things, being cautious." "You knew enough." "Maybe. I don't know anymore. I don't know what I knew or should have known or could have stopped." Her voice cracked. "I just know my family is falling apart and I don't know how to fix it." "You can't fix it," I said. "It's broken. Some things can't be repaired." "So what do? We live with it." David came downstairs. He stopped when he saw his mother. They looked at each other for a long moment. Then she stood and crossed the room. She tried to hug him. He let her, but he didn't hug back. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for all of it. I should have protected you better. You should have protected Grandpa." "I know. But you didn't." "No, I didn't." They separated. She wiped her eyes. "Can you forgive me?" "I don't know. Maybe eventually. Not now." She nodded. "That's fair." She looked at us. "If he needs anything, clothes, money, anything, call me." "We will," Martha said. She left. David watched through the window until her car disappeared. Then he turned to us. "I don't want to hate her." "You don't have to," Martha said. "You can be angry and hurt without hating." "It feels the same." "It's not. Hate is a decision. Anger is a reaction. You haven't decided anything yet." He went back upstairs. I heard his door close. Music started playing. Something loud and aggressive that matched the mood of the house. "She's trying," Martha said. "Too little, too late." "Maybe, but she's trying." 1 week before the hearing, the DA called with an update. My son's lawyer had submitted a plea offer. Guilty to 2 counts of financial exploitation in exchange for dropping the theft and fraud charges. Recommended sentence of 18 months, suspended to probation and full restitution. What do you think? the DA asked. What do you think? I think it's a reasonable offer. He takes responsibility, you get your money back, he stays out of prison. It's a win for everyone. Except he doesn't really face consequences. Probation is a consequence. A felony conviction is a consequence. His reputation is destroyed. His career is over. Those are consequences. But no prison. No prison. Not unless he violates probation. I talked it over with Martha that night. What do you want? She asked. I want justice. What does justice look like to you? I don't know. Prison feels too harsh, but probation feels too light. There's no perfect answer here, just choices that all feel wrong in different ways. So what do? We decide what we can live with. I thought about my son, the boy I'd raised, the man he'd become, the damage he'd caused, the remorse he claimed to feel. Accept the plea, I said finally. Are you sure? No, but I'm not sure of anything anymore. The next day I called the DA. We'll accept the plea offer. You're sure? As sure as I'm going to be. Okay, I'll let his lawyer know. The sentencing hearing will be scheduled within the next few weeks. I hung up and stared at nothing. It's done, I told Martha. How do you feel? Empty. That's normal. Is it? I don't know. Nothing about this is normal. The preliminary hearing was canceled. Instead, we had a plea hearing. Same courthouse, same courtroom, but different energy. More formal, more final. My son stood before the judge and entered his guilty plea. The judge asked if he understood the consequences. He said yes. The judge asked if anyone had coerced him. He said no. The judge accepted the plea. Sentencing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. We left the courthouse the same way we'd entered, through the side door, avoiding reporters. Avoiding my son. In the car, David asked, "Is it over?" Almost, Martha said. But not yet? Not yet. The 2 weeks passed slowly. More media coverage, more public commentary, more opinions from people who didn't know us and never would. My son stayed silent. No statements, no posts, no contact. Finally, sentencing day arrived. We dressed carefully, drove carefully, walked through the courthouse carefully, like we were made of glass and might shatter. The courtroom was half full. Reporters, a few relatives, Frank, Patricia, David's mother. All of us gathered to watch the conclusion of something that should never have started. The judge asked if anyone wanted to make a statement before sentencing. My son's lawyer stood. My client would like to address the court. My son stood. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. He took a breath and spoke. Your Honor, I take full responsibility for my actions. I let fear and greed cloud my judgment. I hurt my father, my family, and everyone who trusted me. I can't undo what I did. I can only promise to spend the rest of my life trying to make amends. He paused. I'm sorry. To everyone. But especially to my father. He deserved better than what I gave him. He sat down. The judge made notes, then looked at the prosecutor. Does the victim wish to speak? The prosecutor looked at me. I hadn't planned to, but suddenly I was standing. Yes, Your Honor. I walked to the front, faced the judge, felt my son's eyes on my back. I raised a good son, I said slowly. Or I thought I did. Maybe I failed somewhere. Maybe I missed signs. I don't know. What I do know is that the man who tried to destroy me isn't the boy I raised. And I don't know if that boy still exists, or if he ever did. I turned and looked at my son. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I need to. For myself. So I can move on. I sat down. My son was crying silently. His shoulders shook. His lawyer handed him tissues. The judge delivered the sentence. 18 months probation. Full restitution of $42,000. 500 hours of community service. A permanent felony conviction. No prison time unless he violated the terms. Do you understand? The judge asked. Yes, Your Honor. Then we're adjourned. It was over. We filed out. My son left through a different exit. I didn't watch him go. Outside, reporters shouted questions we didn't answer. Frank took a few photos for his blog. Patricia hugged Martha. David stood beside me, silent and still. Are you okay? I asked him. No, but I will be. How do you know? Because you are, and if you can survive this, so can I. We drove home. The house didn't feel any less empty, but it felt less heavy, like something had been lifted. That night, I slept through until morning. For the first time in 2 months, I slept without nightmares. 3 days after the sentencing, my son sent a check for $42,000. Certified mail, no note. Just the check and a court document proving he'd fulfilled the restitution requirement. I stared at it for a long time. This money had been mine, then his, now mine again. It had traveled in a circle and ended up back where it started. Nothing gained except knowledge. Knowledge of what my son was capable of. Knowledge of what I was capable of in response. Are you going to deposit it? Martha asked. Eventually. But not now. Not now. I put the check in a drawer and tried not to think about it. Life attempted to return to normal. I went back to work. Martha resumed her garden club meetings. David went to school and gradually stopped flinching when people asked about his father. The story faded from local news. Frank's blog moved on to other topics. The world kept turning, but our family stayed fractured. My son completed his community service at a homeless shelter downtown. 500 hours of serving meals, sorting donations, cleaning bathrooms. I heard about it from David, who heard about it from his mother. I never saw him do it. Never asked questions. Never acknowledged it. His ex-wife moved forward with divorce proceedings, property division, custody arrangements, legal dissolution of 8 years of marriage. David spent weekdays with us, weekends with her. Sometimes he saw his father during those weekends. Sometimes he didn't. He never talked about it either way. My brother visited occasionally, awkward conversations over coffee about neutral topics, weather, sports, anything but family. We were rebuilding something, but it was slow and uncertain, like learning to walk after a long illness. Other relatives stayed away, some out of anger, some out of embarrassment, some because they didn't know which side to take and chose neither. Family gatherings stopped happening. Holidays became quiet. Christmas was just Martha, David, and me. No tree, no decorations, just dinner and forced normalcy. We should do something, Martha said one evening in January. A party, a celebration, something to mark moving forward. I don't feel like celebrating. Neither do I, but maybe that's why we should. Maybe. We didn't throw a party, but Martha did start inviting people over, small dinners, a few friends at a time, slowly rebuilding the social connections that had been damaged. Some people came, some didn't. We learned who our real friends were. Frank kept in touch. His blog continued covering elder abuse cases. He'd become something of an advocate, using his journalist skills to expose exploitation. My story had launched that. He thanked me every time we talked. You made a difference, he said one afternoon over coffee. People are more aware now, more careful, more willing to speak up. At what cost? At the necessary cost. Some things can't be free. Patricia stopped by occasionally. She'd incorporated discussion of family financial abuse into her community programs. She asked me to speak a few times. I declined. I'd said everything I needed to say. David graduated high school that spring. His father didn't attend. His mother did, sitting on the opposite side of the auditorium from us. David walked across the stage, received his diploma, and looked proud and sad simultaneously. After the ceremony, he hugged Martha, then me. Thank you, he said, for everything. You did this yourself. Maybe, but you helped. He was heading to college in the fall. State school, engineering program, far enough away to start fresh, but close enough to visit. I was proud of him. This kid who'd stood up when it mattered, who'd shown courage I wasn't sure I had at his age. Summer came, hot and humid. The garden bloomed. Martha spent hours out there, and I joined her sometimes. We didn't talk much, just worked side by side, pulling weeds, trimming plants, maintaining something that grew despite everything. One evening in July, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Dad. My son's voice, quiet, careful. Don't hang up. I almost did. My finger hovered over the button, but something made me wait. What do you want? To talk. Just for a minute. Please. We have nothing to talk about. I think we do. I know I don't deserve your time. I know I've lost any right to ask you for anything. But I'm asking anyway. 5 minutes. That's all. I walked outside. The evening air was cooler. Stars were starting to appear. 5 minutes, I said. Thank you. He took a breath. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand why I did what I did, why I thought it was okay, why I couldn't see how wrong it was. And what did you figure out? That I was terrified of being irrelevant, of being forgotten, of watching you and Mom get older and realizing I couldn't stop it. His voice cracked. I thought if I could control things, I could prevent loss, but all I did was cause it. That's not an excuse. No, it's an explanation, not an excuse. Is there a difference? I hope so. Because if there's not, then I'm just making excuses for being a terrible person. Silence. I could hear him breathing, could almost see him on the other end of the line, probably pacing, probably struggling. Why are you calling? I asked finally. Because David's graduating soon, going to college, starting his life, and I realized I've missed most of his last year. Because of what I did, because of the consequences. He paused. I don't want to miss more. I want to be part of his life. Part of your life, if you'll let me. I don't know if I can. I understand. Do you? Because it's easy to say you understand. It's harder to actually live with it. I know. I'm living with it every day, the guilt, the shame, the knowledge of what I destroyed. His voice got quieter. I think about it constantly, what I did to you, to Mom, to David, to everyone, and I can't undo it. I can't fix it. All I can do is try to be better going forward. That sounds rehearsed. It is. I've practiced this conversation 100 times. I wanted to say it right. Despite everything, I almost smiled. That was honest, at least. I can't forgive you, I said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I don't expect you to. But I won't stop you from seeing David. That's his choice, not mine. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm not doing this for you. I know. The 5 minutes had stretched to 10. I was tired, emotionally exhausted, done with this conversation. Goodbye, I said. Wait, one more thing. What? I'm sorry. I know I said it before. I know it's not enough, but I need you to know I mean it. I'm sorry. I hung up. Martha was at the back door, watching. How was that? Complicated? Most things are. Inside, David was at the kitchen table, studying college course catalogs. He looked up when we entered. Was that Dad? Yes. What did he want? To apologize. To try to reconnect. What did you say? That it's complicated. David nodded slowly. Are you going to forgive him? I don't know. Are you? I don't know either. We sat in silence, 3 people trying to navigate a situation none of us had experience with. No guidebook, no rules, just instinct and hope and the faint possibility of something better. Whatever you decide, Martha said to David, we'll support you. Even if I want to see him? Even then? Even if I don't? Even then, he went back to his catalogs. Martha and I stayed at the table, not talking, just being present. Outside, the stars got brighter, the neighborhood got quieter, the world kept turning, and we kept moving forward, slowly, uncertainly, into whatever came next.